Yeah. Coucou, bonjour, bienvenue. Um, no note taker. No, that's fine. Okay. Uh, took. No. Okay. What are you doing? Exciting to see everyone. GM from France, as usual. Usually I'm not in France, but actually, yes. Someone want to call me, um, so I can. Coucou!
Hi, how are you?
Great, what about you?
Also good. Thank you very much for asking. Excited to have the session today.
You took some happy holidays.
Again, sorry?
You took some happy holidays.
Happy hour days?
No,
What do you
holiday.
mean?
Hol
Holidays. Yes, yes, yes. I've been to holidays. I've been to Istanbul, returned back sick, and now I'm back into full force finally.
Istanbul? Really? Wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. And then I also, so I live in the Netherlands now for everyone. And last Saturday, so basically 2 days ago, we had King's Day, which is like the biggest celebration in the Netherlands. And the whole city was of Amsterdam was orange, but the whole country is orange. Uh,
Orange?
days,
Okay.
yeah, because it's like the national color of the country, and everyone has to wear orange and it was crazy, but it was really fun. And I'm so happy that I got recovered by Saturday because I was so afraid that I'm gonna get sick, and I was like, ah, but no, everything went perfect.
Amazing. Super cool. I
Perfect.
just push a reminder. Um, but I think like in 2 minutes, as usual, we are starting not on time, but 2 or 3 minutes after, just to make sure everyone is here, joining, and yeah, um, a lot of energy because since 1 week and a half we didn't we not see each other. Um, everyone, yeah. I try to make like Ah, woo! I try to make like one week chill without like anything or a bit of things, and one other week with a session because yeah, I think it's cool to catch up also everyone every 2 weeks or something like this. So yeah, nice. I think we can start.
Perfect. Let me share my screen then.
Yeah, and at the end, I will give extra tips.
Okay, super. Um,
Nice.
I think you can see me and you can hear me and you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, let me take one screenshot. Sorry,
Sure, no problem.
with the song. Wait. Ta-da. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, welcome everyone to today's session. It's gonna be a lot of information, but please feel free to stop me anytime. And I'm actually liking it that the group is very small and intimate because I feel that Celine is great at creating safe spaces. And basically, I'm a full supporter of this. Please stop me anytime. Let me know if you have any question. And I'd like the session to be. Well, it's not really a conversation, it's not really planned as a conversation, but I would love you to just ask me whatever you feel needs to be asked. And basically, today we are going to talk about how can open source get you hired in Web3. So the first half of the presentation is going to be about the open source and what open source means for in terms of hiring and recruitment, and how it actually changed the narrative, especially in Web3. And then the second part is going to be more official, let's say how to write a good CV, if do you need a cover letter, where to search for the job, if you want to go to certain platforms or job boards, whatever. So basically, if not through open source, how else you can find a job, and how if you need to do it officially in a traditional way, then how you can do that. And a little bit, I didn't add the slide. I forgot about this because not all of you remember or know me, but it's just a couple of words about myself. My name is Sofia. I'm based in the Netherlands. Used to live in Germany for a long time, like 8 years or so. And I've been working as a recruiter for 6 years of my life, and three of them is in Web3 industry specifically. I used to work for a product based company, which is called Tendermint. It's used to be a big name in Cosmos ecosystem. Now they've done a lot of restructuring, and that's why I've been laid off. And I found a job in the recruitment agency that was called, it's called still, it still exists, Missing Link. And I've been responsible for hiring there for some very big names within Ethereum ecosystem, some top L2s that I worked with, some crypto exchanges, new, old ones. Also, yeah, some smaller startups within certain markets, for example, in France or in the UK. And since this month, I started working as a freelancer. And yeah, let's see where this journey will bring me. But yeah, let's start with the workshop slash presentation thing. So yeah, first of all, I'd like to point out the benefits of building an open source. Open source is going to be always your resume. It helps you not just to practice coding and experiment with new technologies, so basically kind of like confirming your hard skills, your the programming languages and frameworks that you're using and utilizing. It also showcases your soft skills. For example, problem solving. You know how to work remotely with some engineers that you've never seen in your life, and you have to solve a certain problem, a certain issue, and that showcases that. Creativity, because typically when you are building an open source, you're building something new, you are experimenting, and that kind of like confirms that you are creative enough to tackle new challenges. And ability to learn as well, because you work on projects, on real world projects, on collaborating with top engineers, and that confirms your kind of like curiosity that you want to build more. You have this kind of like certain mindset that supports and that activates your ability to learn, and that all can be confirmed through open source contributions. And that's why many hiring managers, recruiters are still hesitant in like searching in open source because they typically don't know how to do that, and that's the main problem. But if we speak about hiring managers, they love open source. They always kind of like, oh my god, I love his GitHub. For example, one of the clients that I'm freelancing for at the moment, the very first thing I need to send them is GitHub, and then if they don't have LinkedIn, if they don't have anything else but GitHub, that's perfectly enough for them. They can already judge by their open source work if they're relevant candidates for them or not. And it's not only about Web3 that I'm talking about, because open source is valid for any industry, for any tech product. And even if it's your personal product that you are tinkering with, that also can serve as a confirmation that you are an open source contributor, you are curious to learn, you're a problem solver, you're a builder, etc., etc.
By
So
the way,
that's kind of like,
uh,
yeah.
could you clarify what is an hiring manager? Because
Oh,
probably.
yeah, sure. So basically, recruiter is typically a person who is kind of like responsible for bringing the person through recruitment process, right? But hiring manager is basically the person who is hiring. And that person can be very technical, or it can be a CEO of the company that is not technical, but is looking for engineers. So recruiter typically has recruitment experience, while hiring manager can have both technical and non-technical backgrounds. But basically, you are going to respond to report to the hiring manager in any role that you're going to be working with. So that's why hiring manager is usually has more weight in the interview process than the recruiter, because they are typically the people who are making the decisions about getting you hired in the team or not. All right. And here I wanted to specify differences in the application processes, traditional way versus Web3 way. And in the traditional way, you have to prepare a resume, you have to probably write a cover letter. But before that, you have to wait till the job post lands on the careers page of the company website. Then you have to follow formal application procedure, which is typically, I don't know, 3 to 5 interviews, recruiter screening, then technical interview, then maybe a case study, final meet with the team or with the CEO of the company, etc., etc. But basically, the flow goes from the recruiter to hiring manager to confirming your technical skills to meeting someone on the C level. But yeah, that can be changed a little bit, but generally speaking, this is the application procedure. You also have to confirm that you have an education in software engineering, you have past experience as a software engineer. That all is kind of like typical for traditional companies. However, in Web3 way, there is a lot of informal application methods that the industry is following. And it's called beyond resumes, which means that, as I said, you can be hired through your open source contributions, through your social activity, social media activity, through, I don't know, writing really good blog posts, and then you can be hired as a technical writer. You can be whoever you want for whatever skills you have, basically. And here I'm going to share this presentation with you because there's quite a lot of links that you have to follow. And this is actually the link to the YouTube channel. So I was working for a company called Only Dust as a developer care specialist, which is, I'm not going to go fully into details for that, but I was responsible for the content management, and I've interviewed a couple of women during the Women's Month, and I interviewed Celine as well. But the thing is that there is one interview that I did with one of the most active contributors on Only Dust, Charlotte, and she actually found a job through contributing on Only Dust. She has never been a software engineer before. She has a mathematician background, okay, but it's not software engineering. And basically, what happened is that she started contributing to one project so much, then they just responded to her one day saying, "Hey, do you want to join our team? Because you know everything already about us. You know exactly the team. You know what are the problems that we are working on. So we don't even want to do the interview process with you because we know you, you know us, and we want you to work with us." And that was her first job as a software engineer. So if you would be interested in, you can just click on this, and YouTube video is going to appear here. It's a short one, 15 minutes. But this is kind of like, yeah, additional task. You don't have to do that. Um, then yes, there is a lot of opportunities that are happening beyond job postings. So for example, you can join a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization, which are happening quite a lot on local and also online levels. And you can also, here's another link that I wanted to share with you. Embrace platforms, informal platforms and social media. So you don't have to be a wizard of LinkedIn in order to find the job, but you can have, as I said, very strong GitHub. Or this is a great example here. So this girl posted that she has been fired, I believe. Just got laid off, yeah. So, and she posted kind of like a meme about herself and why people should hire her. And she got a job as a social media manager at Alchemy. Uh, 1 second, 1 month ago. Well, 1 month later, February 18th is when she posted, and March 18th is when they hired her. So social media works.
It's so
Uh,
common in Web3. Like, in fact, because people are lay off a lot of time or etc. just because it's like Web3 company cycle. And so when you are laid off, it's kinda normal to post on LinkedIn, oh, sorry, I've been laid off. This what I can bring when I will enter your company. And then some people are hired like this.
Exactly. So I think it's just about the way to find your kind of like the way how you can present yourself. The thing is that down there, I think, I don't remember where I saw it, but maybe when I opened this one up. No, I think she actually reposted it. Just give me a second.
Could you
Yeah.
put the link of the tweets on the meeting
Yeah.
chat, or please? Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, people started creating resume memes. They're called this way. But the thing is that I don't know. It's fun, but it's the same idea. So I would rather go for something more creative, for another way of representing myself, because they just followed her style and copied it. But at the same time, if they can land a job like this, then sure, why not? I'm gonna copy the link. This is here. Oh no, this is actually the first post. This one is better because it has an outcome as well. Um, there was a question, can open source contribution in Web2 lend you an opportunity in Web3 as a technical writer? Sure, why not? I mean, it doesn't matter. It depends on the, again, hiring manager and the company. Some of the companies are very strict and they want someone in Web3. I don't really understand that because we are very little amount of people in Web3 and we kind of like go circles most of the time because a lot of companies require Web3 experience. So I really adore people who are like, we don't care about their background. We need a certain personality, and that can be found in Web2 as well. That's why I think if the company strictly wants Web3 experience, then probably it's not your company. But if the company is open, then yeah, they're open-minded and you will like working with them. So yeah, technically speaking, it is possible to come with no Web3 experience, just Web2 experience, to land an opportunity in Web3 as a technical writer, software engineer, whatever.
And
I
best.
mean,
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that one day I also was without Web3 experience and I landed a job in Web3. So everything can happen.
I think the best way to be hire a technical writer actually is to become first ambassador of a protocols or projects, then start like writing content, etc. around that, post on social media, so like a bit of public building. Then I don't know. Is like you have to be close to the hiring manager. So basically, more someone coming from developer relation side. So take a look at Devril job if you want to go more in this area.
Yeah, definitely. I think this ambassador track is a very good track to learn more about the protocol, to be attached to a protocol, to kind of like yeah, just to know what you're writing about and to know what you're working on, and then they will see you and then you can get a job. Definitely. There were two more questions. How much Web3 experience do we need in the starting? Well, it very much depends on how much does the company require basically, because sometimes they don't require any Web3 experience at all. Sometimes they require some years of experience. It's really hard for me to answer that question. It very much depends on the company basically that you're applying. And what is the personality or soft skills Web3 companies look for? That's a good question. I think kind of like an open-minded mindset of a builder, because you're always experimenting, you're always tinkering, you're always trying out things. You have to, I'd say, think of an early startup. Most of the Web3 companies are very early stage startups, so you shouldn't be afraid of taking more responsibilities than are in your job description basically. You have to kind of like be sick of an idea but in a good way, that you have to be like really passionate about what you're building. You have to not be afraid of, as I said, trying something new, break it if needed, and then start over again. I think this is very typical of kind of like that early internet, early startup environment and mentality that you need to follow. I'd say this is going to be the main personality that especially smaller startups are looking for. All right, I guess I'm done with the questions. I'll go further. So let me just put it on. We stopped on yeah, highlight skills and contributions over formal credentials. So yeah, as I mentioned, you don't have to have a certain degree in certain, I don't know, software engineering or have 5+ years of experience. For some jobs, you can be recent graduates and get a job of a founding engineer already. I think we will talk a little bit more about personal connections because this is very important in Web3. Because in traditional way, it's often limited to professional networks, LinkedIn, professional conferences. But in Web3, it's the importance of broader community connections is usually emphasized. And there's even the term of like crypto bros, crypto friends, because you can actually you can have friendships with people. So it's not only about work after all. And to be fair, most of the things are happening because of networking, because of the, yeah, somebody knows someone and they can help lend you a partnership or get fundraising or get you the job. So yeah, the Web3 is very much connected in that way. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all about friends.
yeah, exactly.
Really.
When I was giving a similar workshop recently, I even mentioned the importance of smoking because if you are in the smoking room, it usually lends you a lot of like 10 to 15 leads typically. So yeah, I'm not smoking, but sometimes I'm just going out with people because I know that the best connections are happening there. But this is a joke, okay? Don't take me seriously. Um, but yeah, flexibility and innovation. So we know that in the traditional way, those application processes are very traditional. You have to go through the recruiter, you have to go through the hiring manager to meet the CEO, to apply for the documents, blah, blah, blah. And in Web3 way, it can be very creative. As I already mentioned, in case with Charlotte, she didn't even have an interview process. Or I knew some companies that hired just having one half an hour call, and they would prefer you to work for, let's say, 3 to 6 months on the probation period to try out things together, rather than go through a lengthy 5 to 7 interviews process with you. So that's kind of like the main difference. And now we are going to dig a little bit more into, again, open source. Basically, the takeaways from here is that your GitHub is your real resume. Startups care about what you build and not about your degree in Web3. Hiring is typically informal. If you're waiting for a job post, you're too late, which is not entirely true, not always true. Because, for example, companies like I'll say a couple of names. Meta Labs, I don't know if you know them, but I'm gonna text you those into the chat. Alchemy and Chainlink, those are already quite matured startups, and they have already standard more closer to the traditional way than Web3 way hiring processes, which means that you would have to go through the typical interview process, you would have to apply with the resume and cover letter, and you would have to wait for the job post to be posted on their careers page. So it all depends on what kind of startup you are interested in and what you're looking for, but generally speaking, it is informal still. The most important tip here is contribute, get noticed, and then you'll get hired.
Yeah, exactly. And regarding rounds for informal, but no formal process, sorry, is like 5 to 7 rounds before being hired.
Mhm.
My English.
Um, I just wanted to read a couple of comments that appeared during my talking. Um, Is it an appropriate way to build our own projects and post it on X where Web3 companies notice our passion to build and hire? Yes, but I think it's also you have to be proactive. You have to post your projects in comments, for example, or get connected with the people because think of that the typically if the company is already quite mature, then the X or any other social media channels are usually taken over by non-tech or marketing people specifically, or just non-tech operations leaders or whatever. So they are not typically responsible for technical hiring. So if you want to make sure that your project is noticeable, maybe it makes sense to get connected to a person who is a technical leader in this specific project and talk to them rather than just mentioning them in your tweet, because it might still be unnoticeable. Also depending on the company, but I would say still be more proactive in reaching out to relevant people rather than just posting on X. But at the same time, you have to post on X, I would say, about your projects to build kind of like that consistency, to make sure that you're always active, that you're always engaging with different protocols, that you're creating useful content for people to look into and to learn from. So it's kind of like I would not say to forget about posting on X. On your profile at all. It's just that if you want to have a job at this specific company, maybe it's better to connect with real people and not just to try to collaborate with companies Twitter or something to try to get in touch with the hiring manager. But if you just want to build consistency around your profile, then it makes sense to post on X regularly,
And
basically.
don't hesitate to like don't miss to follow all people around like follow Onyx people who are building in this protocol. Like for example, I don't know if you want to integrate Alchemy, don't hesitate to follow people from Alchemy, and then there's gonna be like a circle because they're gonna retweet.
Sweet, yeah, all good.
It's complicated. Retweets, like, and so on. So it's gonna be a great thing for you.
Exactly. I was once in a situation where I started contributed to a new project but it was as if my contribution was not valued. I wanted us to put some things together now that they are just starting. That happens. You never know which contribution, which post, which I don't know, um, blog post is gonna shoot. And that's kind of like you have to try different things. And sometimes it happens that you are getting not noticed, or sometimes that you feel that the contributors are just not the right cultural fit for you, but that happens. Just move on and go to a next project and try something new. Happened to me sometimes as well, that I've been trying to build things together with some other people and it didn't work out. It's just life, I guess. It's not necessarily a Web3 thing, but I would say that it's also kind of like happening quite often in Web3, that you start working with people and then just the vibe doesn't get vibe in, and it's just not your type of company then. Um, can you list some informal recruiters? I don't get the question, but I guess just in recruiters. There is, for example, there is one guy. Maybe I can find him for you. Oh, 1 second. I need to.
When,
Huh?
when,
Yeah, I was
ah,
thinking about him because I mean it's he's quite an influential person on Owen. Here he is. In recruitment, and he's working as a freelance recruiter. So here is his profile if you want to follow him. And yeah, I think another guy that I would recommend you in like next slide really, he's also having his own recruitment agency, and I'm gonna tell a little bit more about him. I don't know personally Owen, I've never met him yet offline, but another guy I've met, and I would highly recommend to follow his content as well. But yeah, open source is your network. The best jobs come from connections, not applications. People hire people they know or are recommended, engage with projects, with maintainers, with communities, because as I mentioned, you don't know when the next shot is going to happen. Use Twitter, Warpcast, meetups, events, hackathons, use any opportunity in order to be visible. And this is also a little bit like extravagant. If you're not visible, you don't exist. Because I'm not that visible sometimes, but I still exist and I still work and I still hire and I still have a lot of clients. But at the same time, it's important to, yeah, kind of like be active in the scene. So, for example, I would rather prefer offline connections to online, and we will talk a little bit about that later. But at the same time, if you like if you like being visible online, then please use all types of social media, all methods to be online and visible. And yeah, I'd say that, for example, for builders, probably the greatest way of how to be visible is through their GitHub contributions. So just work on your portfolio consistency. You don't have to be presented everywhere, offline at the meetups, online in Twitter, online in Warpcast, and on GitHub, because it might be also mentally draining. So choose wisely a couple of channels, 1, 2 channels, and just build consistently. That's going to be my main advice. This is the guy that this is the story that I want to talk about, and the guy is going to be on the next slide. So Ivan Palmer, he's my in my connections, and he recently made a post about that if you are a recruiter in crypto, how you can be more, how you can implement Web3 native outreach strategies, and those that are actually work. POAPs to recognize open source contributions, Digital tips on Warpcast, NFT business cards. Recruiting is, yeah, like, I don't think it's gonna work, to be honest. And then the next comment was from Dan, whom I know. With all due respect, I have a hard time imagining any of these approaches would be remotely effective. I've placed hundreds of people in Web3 roles, and I've never heard of anyone getting hired through connections made using these tactics. It doesn't work neither for recruiter or for a candidate, because POAPs to recognize open source contributions. I mean, generally speaking, yes, but why do I need to go into POAPs and into someone wallets if I can just go directly to GitHub and see all the contributions there? So it's a little bit questionable. Digital tips on Warpcast. Well, they don't confirm anything. They just confirm that you can give a tip, basically. I don't know. I like Warpcast, and I like people building on Farcaster, but I think it's more about the building process itself than about tipping everyone. So it's yeah, show respect with small but meaningful tips, yes, but will it lead you to a new client or to a new job? I'm not sure, to be honest. And then about the NFT business cards, well, to be honest, I also don't really look into my wallet and, like, looking for NFTs and, oh, I have an NFT of this person, now I can reach out to them. Everyone knows that when it comes to networking, you go, I don't know, you usually use Telegram, and you always can reach out to those people on Telegram, or, yeah, worst case scenario, LinkedIn. But yeah, I in this post, I'm not judging you. It's you, up to you to have an opinion here, and I've attached this LinkedIn post here. I also attached Ivan's on-chain recruiter newsletter. This is more for the recruiters rather than candidates, but it might be interesting also to see the perspective of hiring managers. What do they think about when they are hiring for the candidates? And I also attached here Dan's blueprint, which is a newsletter and also Notion for candidates specifically. So Dan has his own company that is called Uptop Search. When I met them back in 2022 or so, they've been focusing mainly in the US, but now they're all over the world, basically hiring for really good protocols and really good companies. So I would definitely advise you to check all of the links out and make your own opinion about this, and follow whoever the opinion you find useful and more closer to you, basically. Um, will you share your slide? Yes. Okay, no questions here. And yeah, so open source is your job offer. Basically, we talked about everything a lot, about all of this a lot already, that many Web3 devs land jobs without applying, hiring managers that are typically devs when it comes to, yeah, when it comes to you guys, you're all guys and girls. You're all developers here. So they definitely check GitHub, and they sometimes check socials for just seeing the vibe basically, but it doesn't really it's not really required. I'll show you an example in a minute of a guy who is working for Alchemy, and he doesn't have a really active Twitter. So that's okay to be, as I said, very much involved into one certain channel. And yeah, your commits, community engagement, content, whatever you post in open source, this all only adds you credibility. Open source get you hired passively. Um, yeah, there is a question following my handles on X and LinkedIn. I'll leave them in the end of the workshop, and maybe Celine, you can also share them later on Telegram channel.
Yes, your hiring manager, you will find them during conferences as well, because it's typically the kind of people like who are coming as a speaker and so on. So you can target before each conference. You can target which one you can talk with at this moment. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's a good one. And yeah, I don't really have any slides or any materials prepared on networking because it's a separate topic that I could talk hours about. And I'm also not really a professional in it. I can just share my humble opinion on that. But at the same time, it is important to make some sort of a market research before you go to any conference to make sure that there are companies that might hire you, that you know that there's going to be representatives of these companies on this conference, and you know how exactly to target them. So you maybe have a line or two to impress them when you're talking to them, and then yeah, they will remember you out of the crowd basically. But maybe we can do another session at some point later about this because, as I said, it's too broad of a topic to discuss it today. So yes, coming to the case studies, basically those are the people that I've hired or I've been in touch with, or they didn't get hired through me. Basically, the first guy who is working at Alchemy, he used to work at Peloton when I found him, and his GitHub looked back in 2000, yeah, quite decent. Um, but he was contributing to Ether's wallet implementation in Rust, which was written by the CTO of Paradigm, which is a big investment fund, and also they are working a lot on development of of different things for the Ethereum ecosystem. And basically, that's how I found him through the contributions to this library. I just, how I did that, I went to GitHub. I was looking for a senior Rust engineer for this role. I opened up all the contributors, I scraped them all, and then I found him in there. And I saw that he is based in New York, and I was like, okay, Alchemy is hiring in New York and San Francisco. I would like to get in touch with him. And I texted him, and he's like, yeah, actually, I tried Paradigm, but at the moment they are looking for very specific hires, and I don't have Web3 experience. And I was like, okay, but you're going to be fine for Alchemy. Let's try you out at least. And basically, what he did, he was working at Peloton as a Rust engineer. He introduced Rust to Peloton. Peloton is the company that works on the, how do you call them? Velo machines? I'm not sure, but maybe I can just Google it and then show you guys. It's bikes that are installed at home, and then you just do exercises at home. So nothing in Web3 at all. Like he never knew what blockchain is before. He just got curious because he got into Rust. Then he found out that a lot of libraries written in Rust are in Web3, and he got into this Ether's RS project, and he started contributing for them for free without any, like, without thinking that it will ever land him a job in Web3. He wanted to, but he was looking for rather passively. And basically, he passed all the interview stages for Alchemy. And since August, if I'm not mistaken, of 2023, he's building for Alchemy. He's responsible for Rundler, which is some sort of bundler for account abstraction in Rust. Here he is, top five of contributors. So yeah, quite happy with his role, and he had some experience as Web2 engineer, but never had anything in Web3 apart from the open source contributions, and that landed him a job. The second example is is actually Havard. He is from Norway, and he was working as a tech lead in Web2 company as well. And basically, he never planned to become a Web3 engineer, but he also got interested in technology and started contributing to Reth, actually, another implementation in Rust written by Paradigm. And that's how I found him. We tried, I believe, two processes with him, and something didn't work out. And then he was like, okay, maybe I should start looking for a job. He got prepared. He started working a little bit more on his online portfolio, and he landed the job as a tech lead at Chainbound, working on Bolt, permissionless proposer commitments on Ethereum. So basically, it's kind of like a job on the edge of research and development, which is something that he was very interested about. And I believe it took him 2 to 3 months to polish his portfolio, and to make sure that he is kind of like well-known person in the space. And yeah, he found the job that he wanted.
In fact, one of my friend, so woman developer, exactly contribute to the same repo actually, and one of the maintainer contacted her to get a job at Flashbots.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's really, it might be sometimes hard to get into contributions to work with leaders like Paradigm, but generally speaking, they're very much open for new talent, and they know that if you contribute to their repositories, you can get hired by them or another company. We have when I was working at OnlyDust, there was one guy, Steven. He also contributed at Paradigm, and he also landed something. I think it helped him to get a better job in Web2, but generally speaking, it helped him. So yeah. There was a question, why do people really like to move to Web3? Is it the technology, the work culture, the pace? I think it's all together, but all of those parts can be also something why people dislike Web3. So it depends on how you look into that. For example, the technology. Many people say, it's bullshit. Nobody builds anything really useful, and we are not moving into crypto society. And where is our financial freedom that Bitcoin was promising us so much? So there are obviously crypto pessimists, but there are also optimists who believe that it's like the early internet. It's something that we can get back the ownership of our data, of our money, of everything that belongs to us, and not to data servers of Amazon, Google, whatever. So when it comes to work culture, it's also the same. Some people really like remote, these distributed companies and teams. Some people hate it and they prefer in-office job. Then might be that Web3 is not really for you, because Web3 typically are the companies working remotely. However, I've seen a trend when in the US, for example, the companies are returning back to the office. The pace similar. You can be really overwhelmed by an extremely fast pace of the technology, and like if you are off for a week from Twitter, then it's really hard to follow what's happened, where and how. Protocols are raising money every day, basically. Some new patches, some new technologies, features of the networks are also appearing, maybe not every day, but every week. So if you decide to get a digital detox and in a month you come back, it's going to be a completely new form of Web3 appearing to you. So that's why some people prefer it, some people like it. to keep all the time learning something new. Some people hate it and they can't keep up, and then yeah, Web3 is not really for them. So I guess it very much depends on what you want, and you have to decide for yourself if you would like to join a Web3 community, movement, I don't know, the industry. So yeah, decide for yourself. And then there was another case when a person got rejected actually when he stopped contributing. So I had a guy in the process for a very actually all no this yeah, he got hired by Alchemy, but Estenson and another person, I'll keep him anonymous, they were in the process for the same job for a very famous L2 in the Ethereum ecosystem. And the company decided to proceed with Estenson rather than with this person because of the open source contributions. So the company said, oh, he didn't contribute for the last 1 year, mostly 1.5 years. That's why we are not going to continue with him. We're not going to even interview him. And the reason why he took a break was the family reasons. He was raising a son, which is understandable. And it's a little bit of a pity that he didn't get a chance to get the interview. But at the same time, I kind of like understand what they meant by that. 1.5 years ago, Ethereum space was completely different. So many new technologies, so many new trends appeared during this time. And if it's, if it's a month, then it's still okay. But if it's a 1.5 years, it's so many things have happened, so many new trends and so many new kind of like even looking into the ZK technology. I've been a little bit off from following the latest trends, and I feel like I'm completely lost. And I've been not following it for maybe the last 2 to 3 months. And here we are talking about 1.5 years. That's why open source opens doors, keeps them open, but you have to still consistently be interested in open source contributions in the latest trends, at least maybe once in a couple of months, once in a month, because Web3 space is just crazy fast, and you can't keep up if you are going to leave for a year. It's going to be a completely different form of industry, basically. Got a new comment. Thank you for the insights and being so honest and open, Sophia. Web3 work and culture sounds awesome. Agreed. It's a very fair comparison. Perfect. No questions. That's good. So we kind of like finished the first half, which was about the open source contributions and why they are important. I hope everyone followed that and everyone understood that. So now we are kind of like going to the traditional part. What if you are applying for a Web3 company or Web2 company, doesn't matter, and you still need to follow this traditional way of applying where you need to go and write a CV, where you need to write a cover letter, where to search for the job. And also I'll talk a little bit more about the meetups, conferences, and why offline connections sometimes mean more than online. So here are the principles of a strong CV. It's important to keep it short. It's important to use bullet points to strengthen your skills to the point. You also, it depends on how you would like it to be built, but about me might be as important as the rest of the text. And I prefer to keep, if I want to write about me in my resume, then I keep it as past, present, future kind of like style. So basically, there should be 2 to 3 sentences in about me section. And the first sentence is about your past. Basically a software engineer with 3+ years of experience in fintech industry. Something like that. Very short, very to the point. Then about present. So what is the blend of hard and soft skills that you can offer? Let's say proficient in JavaScript and React. I'm able to meet the deadlines, to be proactive when needed, and to take over tasks where needed as well. Something like that. And then the future is basically the sentence where you describe what you want. So, for example, if you are applying for a Web3 job without having Web2 experience, then this is going to be a great sentence for you to explain why you're applying to Web3. Maybe, let's say you're an open source contributor on OnlyDust, and then you can include that there, that you are willing to move into Web3 industry and you are kind of like getting yourself prepared to become a Web3 engineer. Or you can describe something like willing to move into Web3 because of this and that, because I have passion for financial freedom, because I have, I don't know. For example, you can also mention the 3 pack as an experience because I feel that you are learning quite a lot here. And you're again getting yourself prepared into jumping into the Web3 industry, etc., etc. So basically, you would have to decide for yourself how to describe your past, present, and future. But the main point is that the last sentence should be kind of like should confirm why you are applying for this job. And that's the sentence that I would typically change. So past and present usually stays the same for any sort of job that I'm applying to, but then the future one, depending on the industry, depending on the company that I'm applying for, do I want to be specific about this company or do I want to just keep it Web3 generic? It's up to me, depending on the vibe, how I feel about it. Um, Tailor CV to the job, I think it depends because if you're planning to apply for, I don't know, 100 jobs, then it would be a disaster to tailor your CV to each and everyone, every job. So it's gonna take too much time. But for example, what I also suggest you to do, let's say you are a full stack engineer and you don't mind working in front end or in the back end. So I would create one CV that says, let's say if your job was always a full stack, I would create one that is more into front end and one that is more into back end. And then depending on the job that you're applying to, apply with that specific one. So if you're applying for a full stack and you clearly see from the job description that it's more on the front end side, then you apply with the front end-ish CV and vice versa. And for example, if you are, let's say, having an experience as a front-end engineer, but you're also learning smart contract development, I would suggest you also to separate those two. So, for example, to apply for the front-end engineers with your experience from Web2 as a front-end engineer, but then if you're applying for a smart contract engineer role, make an emphasis on smart contract development in your CV, making the front-end development kind of like lower in your CV. So highlight more of your smart contract development job, even if it's just about studies, if it's just your personal smart contracts that you've built on GitHub and left in open source. Still, it is important to kind of like that your CV screams more of a smart contract developer rather than a front end engineer. So that's why it is important. And also do not include everything. So for example, if you had student jobs as, I don't know, an animator in the hotel, please do not include it because that kind of like shifts the attention to that specific jobs. There's a comment, sorry, can you say that again? What exactly? Just I wanted to follow on which part I need to repeat.
Probably for a student job.
Sorry, no, it was more of a smart contract and front end that you have to separate the CVs so that you have to um, basically if you have experience in both, then separate and make two different resumes rather than try to put it all at once because then the recruiter or whoever is going to check your resume is going to get confused. Who are you, a front-end engineer or a smart contract engineer? So you need to exactly write a different resume for a specific opportunity based on your skills. So in my case, I'm gonna bring a silly example of a recruiter, but basically the the idea of my job is that I can do full cycle recruitment, but I can also do a very specific one, which is sourcing, and I have to create two different resumes. One is specifically for that sourcing part of the job, and one is more kind of like broad full cycle recruitment job. So you kind of like when you're thinking about what are you interested in, if you have more than one track of your interest, then it's better to separate to make your resume more visible for that specific track rather than again include everything into one document. If you have past jobs in not related field, like you were electrical engineer, then it's best to skip that for a front-end job in Web3. I would say so. You can mention if, for example, you have done that for 10 years and now you're switching over to software engineering. I would just leave it as one line in the CV. So to mention that you actually have some experience, but then you can also in about me section bring something like I was an electrical engineer by education and specialization. I'm currently evolving my skills into becoming a front-end engineer in Web3. So that person has an understanding, that person used to work there, but now they're willing to switch over to another field. The senior front-end engineer Web2, is it hard switching over to Web3? Not really. There are some specific Web3 libraries, but they're all based on JavaScript and TypeScript. So as long as you know those two, then you should be fine. And Solidity is also kind of like based on TypeScript and JavaScript. So even if you need to know some kind of like connections of front-end to smart contract, then it's really relatively easy to learn things. I got some offers for a Web3 role, but I declined it as I don't have that experience. Why did you decline the roles? Because they offered you the roles. So, if you are not, um, like, if you're up for a challenge, you should try it. Like, my personal motto is that I should try it because then I don't know if I could make it or not. And at least I tried, kind of thing. So yeah, if you get another offer, maybe you should try and see how it goes, and then at least you've tried. Um, Oh, that usually send a message reaching out to ask if you can do it, and I get worried of tending my image if it doesn't go well. That's why I declined. I see. So basically, it's not really an offer. It's just that a recruiter reaching out to you with a kind of like proposal with the job description to apply. So yeah, I understood. Sorry, I misunderstood your comment. Well, basically, I think you should be honest with the recruiters. That's totally fine. Just explain that you can cover this and that part, but in this you are new, but you are a fast learner. Would it be okay for them to proceed? So I think you should just tell them the truth, but also mention that you are currently, for example, in the free pack, that you are that you are doing the education, and now you just need to kind of like learn practical skills, and you can do it through the job that they're suggesting. So I think you should try it out. And also, that's kind of like my advice, and I know I'm gonna be a bad recruiter here in the sense that I'm gonna make a really it really bad for the recruiters and really good for you. But consider recruitment as a sport. You have to constantly kind of like go to the interviews. Even if you don't really like this job, sometimes it's better to take this interview just, to practice a little bit, to see what kind of questions people are asking for, because then you can get better prepared for a job that you actually like, because they might be asking you the same questions. So why I'm making this hard for other recruiters is because you will all go to those interviews and the recruiters will be like, oh my God, this person is not relevant. But at the same time, I'm always have been more on the candidate side, and I'm always taking care of the candidate experience. And I personally sometimes also go to the interviews when I know that I'm not going to take this job, or I'm just curious to know. Like I go to, and that was not a secret for my previous company, for the agency. I was going and trying to talk to other agencies to see what they're working on. Sometimes they would just tell us the clients, and I'm like, okay, good to know. It's like it's as I said, it's like a sport. You just treat it as a competition, and you win when you excel. It's the same with I don't know if you've ever taken language tests, for example, because language tests like IELTS, let's say for English, they're never about language at all. They are more about getting you prepared for a certain system, and you have to think as a system. You don't have to think in English. You have to think as a system, and then you excel. And that's the same, basically the same thing here.
Do you have any idea of how many applicants by offer? Like 100, 500, or...
Yeah, I think like 100 to 150 nowadays. And I'd say that it's really, it depends on the job. So if the job is remote, then obviously they get more applications. And if the job is, yeah, in person, then yeah, I'd say also a lot of applications, because sometimes people just misread and they don't really treat that, yeah, people are needed to be in France, for example, but then they apply from another country and they say, ah, it's okay, I can learn, which, yeah, obviously, if they specify that the job is in France, then they need someone in France, as an example. So yes, I'd say that there's going to be another slide, the next one, with a really cool Instagram. If you have Instagram, you can follow this guy. And he recently posted a video, how by accident they posted the product manager role. And it got over 150 applicants, if I'm not mistaken. And they had to close this role and explain to all the candidates, sorry, but we made a mistake. We didn't mean to hire anyone at all, but then they already got a lot of applications. So yeah, that's why it's really a competitive field, being recruited, being hired, and that's why you have to treat it also like a sport. If you don't have a Web3 experience, for example, smart contract development, what should we include under experience? Well, you all have, from my understanding, Web2 experience, so that's should be already a good start. But then anything that you have related to smart contract development experience, so your studies, your open source code, um, your, I don't know, blog posts, maybe if you're a smart contract auditing, doing auditing, that all will help. Basically, whatever it can be connected to smart contract development, even if it's again your own open source code, that should be already enough. Being adaptable and keep learning, building exposure and networking, key aspects for Web3 industry. I agreed. So rightly said, Sophia, thinking like the system in some cases. Yeah, that's basically it. Um, Okay, then keywords in the job description, keywords in your CV, the more the better, but don't get too repetitive. If you can change the wording a little bit, that's the best. But basically, yeah, I'd say that typically job descriptions, especially now in the area of ChatGPT, they're all kind of like written by AI. They look all the same. So I would say for the exercise to understand what to write in your CV, if you're applying again, I'm coming back to the smart contract development opportunity. There's quite a lot of those jobs posted on job boards. You just pick up, let's say, five, and you look into job descriptions, and you can see what they're looking for. And typically, they're asking for the same things. So then you know what to write in your CV. If you have done something similar in any other area of development, just write about it. If you have done something even in smart contract development, that's even better. If not, then explain how you, maybe in a cover letter, for example, explain how you can cover that part. If you have studied something like that, or if you have built your own open source code and you know the principles of it. So yeah, that's kind of like the main idea. Use quantifiable metrics. Yeah, this is not always applicable, but try to come up with at least one bullet point that would be highlighted, that would highlight your experience in numbers or percentage. So, for example, I don't know, covered technical depth and boosted the I don't know, some rate for 99.9%, something like that. It's really hard for me to come up with metrics for software engineering, but I know that if you are, for example, in infrastructure engineering, you can be responsible for the platform being always up, always online, and that might be a metric. Also, if you, for example, implemented a certain idea and then the user retention rate grew up, that also could be an achievement. So think about, and you can also try to ideate this metric with ChatGPT. Just ask, okay, this was my job, that what I was doing. Can you tell me to think about what are the quantifiable metrics I can use for this specific job? And then it will give you an idea. And then typically you will be like, oh, actually, that's true. I remember when I implemented that feature together with my team, then this rate have grown up, for example. And yeah, well, I just mentioned about ChatGPT, so you can use AI tools, and I would recommend you to do that. And I do it every day. But just make sure that your CV is written in your own style because you can clearly see when ChatGPT writes it for you, especially when there's long dashes like those guys. Where is it? But this is a short one. I'm not sure how to make the long one. I think I can make it on another keyboard if I change that. No, this is actually another under kind of like highlighting. Anyway, you probably understood me. If that's kind of like a ChatGPT sign. Also, having emojis is ChatGPT-ish very much. Also, when you are separating it into bullet points, and those bullet points start with the kind of like a description first. It's actually this one is ChatGPT written. This kind of like starting with emojis, pop-ups to recognize, open source contributions, and then the description follows. This all is ChatGPT written, I feel. So, and also those long dashes are there. So this is kind of like post that could have been written by ChatGPT. But yeah, I personally don't like it, and I try to always rephrase it somehow to make sure that it doesn't sound like AI written. You can also, what I did for my personal work is that I customized ChatGPT. You can do it in a paid version. You can just let as many adjectives and adverbs into customization as possible about yourself, and then it will write it in your own style. And that actually works. It gives me a much better text than just a generic ChatGPT. I'll go through a couple of comments that appeared over the time. The Web3 companies use applicant tracking systems, and should we optimize our CVs for that? Yes, they do. And actually, the next slide is about that. This is the tool that I recommend you to use. It's called Resume AI, and it's actually helping you to write your resume. And I'm just gonna second, I need to make it smaller, and then I'll open it up. Yeah. The link doesn't work, which is interesting. Maybe now. Yeah. So basically, this tool will write a resume for you. You can use the AI pre-built tool that will help you to create the bullet points, for example, and they are already coming with quantifiable metrics. But what I did, for example, I did my own version. So I wrote the text by myself. The tool is completely free. You don't need to pay for anything. You have to pay by points for those bullet points creation, but I use just ChatGPT and use this format in order to create my own resume, and that's absolutely free, and I don't utilize any points that are given by the platform. So, and this is the format that is readable. It's very much American style because they typically prefer those kind of like black and white, up to bottom resumes, and that's something that is readable by the ATSs as well, by the applicant tracking system. So this is like the perfect example of what you can feed into applicant tracking system, and it will take the text exactly the way how it should take. So that's why I would definitely recommend you to use that, especially for software engineering. Like I would say for designers, sometimes you have to be creative about the style of your resume. But the problem is that sometimes your resume cannot be readable correctly by the systems. And that's why I would still recommend you to use, rather include your portfolio link where you can be as creative as you want, but keep the resume strict and black and white. And this is, yeah, there's a video about how the resume should look like, so that you have less than 5 words per bullet. Then we need to do better. This is the guy that I told you about that we all have to follow, Jerry Lee. He's a creator of consulting AI tool. the free resume AI builder. So I would definitely advise you to go through those links and see that for yourself how it works. And also about the ATSs, coming back to those examples of Meta Labs, for example, you can see that they are working with a company called Ashby. This is an ATS system. Then I also checked today that Alchemy works with Alchemy Careers, works with Greenhouse, if I'm not mistaken, which is another ATS system. So they're all like all big companies. Let me see. Yeah, you can see it here that it got us redirected to Greenhouse. So all those big companies are working typically with ATS systems. If we talk about very small companies, then typically they have Notion, which is obviously not trackable anyhow. So this is all very kind of like manual job that they're all doing. Can you talk about what it is like in the recruiter side if you have 100 plus applicants for the role? How do you screen them and what would give a candidate an edge? Are all candidates evaluated or just the first 50, for example? I've been into this situation in Web2 startups, not in Web3. So can't really say much about Web3 recruitment because I've been always kind of like working on a hand hunter role where I had to reach out to the candidates rather than they reached out to them, to me. But when I was working in the Web2 company, we had like 150 applicants over the night. And then I would wake up in the morning and then I was like, oh my God, I need to look through this. So I know that, for example, the company that I used to work for, Smart Recruiters, they were already trying to build things with AI. And they would give me an AI score of the applicant. So basically, the keywords that are in the job description if they're matched with the keywords in the CV. Not sure if I don't recall this to be a feature in Greenhouse or in other ATS systems, but I'm pretty sure that it is now a feature because AI is literally everywhere. So that's why I had this suggestion here that keywords in the job description are keywords in your CV, and the more the better because you have to kind of like also go through the machine basically. So I'd say that, yeah, this is a good one about the referral. The referrals will always go first. Then sometimes recruiters just go for the first 50 or the last 50. It really, I never know what is going on behind the screen and how the recruiters are evaluating that. But it depends on them basically, what they would prefer and what they would go for.
Something I want to mention is about also related to cybersecurity side. So people prefer to pass by referral because a lot of North Korean hacker can come into your process and then basically enter into your company and just do some shit and your company will be closed. So actually is one of the things that happen into big company in Web3, and so they just hire by referral basically.
Yeah, that is actually true. There is a lot of North Korean hackers that are in the space that are trying to fish into the interviews. I remember before I left Missing Link, the Web3 agency that I used to work for, we had a candidate, and we have like a video of this interview. He forgot to switch off the recruiter left the interview and this guy stayed and we didn't understand why for another like 15 to 30 seconds, and then he started talking in another language which was not English, and then he moved somehow inaccurately like this with his arm, and he had an AI mask. He had an AI mask of a European person. As soon as he moved his arm like this, his face was different, completely different, and it was obvious that it happened to us, that we got kind of like scammed by North Korean hacker who pretended to come from Poland and wore this kind of like Eastern European AI mask on his face. Yeah, that
Oh,
happens.
yeah. My friend, the company of my friend, which is a big like top two of big lending protocol, and actually for 30 on 30 applicants interviewing, five of them were North Korean.
Yeah.
So it's a huge ratio. I mean, yeah. So
That's coming back to the point of the very first slides that you have to build credibility through your social presence, through your GitHub contributions, because that will actually confirm that you are a human. Because all those North Korean hackers, they have their GitHub contributions do not make sense. They're just copy pasted code from somewhere else. Their social media presence, there is none. Their, for example, LinkedIn profiles, they're stealing them from other people, and then they just use their profiles basically. So yeah, there's quite a lot of things that they're doing in a very nasty way. But you just have to be different from that, I'd say. Um, I'll go a little bit further because we are already 1 hour, 15 minutes talking, and I want to give you some free time because we still have a couple of slides left. So here's about the cover letter because it's always a debate. Do I need a cover letter? Do I not need a cover letter? There's a lot of recruiters that say, no, you don't need a cover letter. This is stupid. Never send it. I do recommend writing a cover letter, but it has to be written correctly because it may boost your chances of getting the first interview. My personal example, when I was looking for a job, something like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I was laid off from Tendermint, from the company in the Cosmos ecosystem, I found an interesting opportunity of a tech recruiter at a company called Serotonin, which is a Web3 marketing agency, very famous one. But the thing is that they are based in the US and I'm based in Europe. What to do? I've applied, and in my cover letter, I had two paragraphs. Why am I the best choice for this job? So I described here, you can see those two paragraphs, those two suggestions. So in the first paragraph, I described that I have all the expertise that they need for this role. I've hired for similar profiles that they're looking for. So I'm aware of everything. The only problem is that I am based in Germany back then. But I'm okay working according to the US time zone because my current job is actually working with the US quite a lot. Basically, 4 out of 5 days, I was working on a timetable from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. my time. So I already know how to work according to at least New York time zone. I don't mind doing that later on. So yeah, I'm fine. And they actually invited me to the interview. And when I asked them about this, they said, yeah, we actually read your cover letter and we are fine with you being based in Europe as long as you can cover our time zone for New York. So people actually read your cover letter. But again, it has to be written in a good way. It shouldn't be anything robotic. It shouldn't be, dear sir, madam, with this cover letter and with this application, may I apply for your job, blah, blah, blah. It has to be a cover letter that just makes sense. And it's going to be an accompaniment to your document, to your CV, rather than rather than a copy of your resume. And if you have a gap in your experience, if you have something to say where you can't, there is no other space where you can say about this, use cover letter as an opportunity to talk to a recruiter and explain why you should be hired for this job. So that's kind of like the main idea. And keep it short. You don't have to create it for the whole page. As I said, two paragraphs of, I don't know, two, three sentences is absolutely enough. And here are some practical things. So here are the links to the job boards that you can use in order to apply for the jobs, search for the jobs. For example, if we go now to Web3 Career, which is probably the biggest job board in the internet for Web3. Let's say we want to go for smart contract development. Let me type it, it's easier. There is quite a lot of companies that are hiring. So I would just go for, let's say, this company and read their job opportunity. By the way, let me quickly see. No, sometimes I have seen. It's gonna be really bad to say it because it's recorded. But when you apply, sometimes it asks you to write "fuck Kim Jong Un." So that you can confirm that you're not North Korean hacker. Maybe we can cut this part. But that's actually true that they're trying to do this kind of like vibe check, I guess. But anyway, what I wanted you to do is to search through through those opportunities, and, for example, find out what is required for this job so that you can make a better CV.
Oh, something funny as well, in Web3, you don't know your salary. Like you have to put an expectation of how much you want. It, it's kind of during the first interview, they're asking how much do you want.
That is true, and it's sometimes you really don't know, and you really can't know because the company can offer you a very tiny bit, but then they will be like, okay, but we have a lot of shares for you. Sometimes they would be like, I don't mind paying 250K basis the salary that is like actual money, because on top of the base you have bonus and token allocation and something else. So base is something that is guaranteed to you. So you really don't know. What I like about a Web3 career website is that sometimes you can see the job in the job description, some salaries. You probably can see it here. So for the senior software engineer for DYDX in New York, they would pay something around that, which is a very good salary, I think, even for New York, which is quite an expensive city. This is for a non-senior software engineer. Sometimes it could be an estimate because you can see that the salary bracket is very random here. Like 150K is very much different from 250K, but at least you can understand. Here, for example, these people pay 40 to 140K. This is definitely an estimate because it's a very broad range. So you would have to essentially have to decide for yourself how much money you need to have comfortable life, and just go for it, and say that out loud and see how the companies are going to react. US pays a lot compared to others. That's correct. Most of the Web3 jobs require some years of experience. What about freshers? Through connections, we will come to that. I'll explain in the next slide. Um, yeah, some job platforms that you can take a look at. I'm not going to go too deep into that. Some Telegram channels that you can follow. Also, here, a very interesting part is those five job boards that belong to the investment funds. And basically, they're posting the jobs of the startups that they invested into. So, for example, if I want to go to Paradigm Job Board, I will see there all the companies that they've invested into, and all those jobs are posted here. If I'm not mistaken, these are all the companies can hire. Sorry, the companies can post on those job boards for free. So that's why it is kind of like relatively easy for them to post, and they prefer to do that versus a Web3 career website or any other website that you can see here, because for that you have to pay. And sometimes, for example, even a small startup, they would prefer to hire someone from connections for free rather than pay, I don't know, $500 to $1,000 to be posted on Web3 job. So it depends. That's why I would always suggest to go for those kind of like job boards of the VC funds or of the ecosystems. I'll come to that in the next slide to see because those job boards are typically the most updated, and yeah, you can make sure that those are relevant opportunities. Basically, they are not outdated, they are not fake ones. So yeah. And then, yeah, this is the next slide that I promised you to talk about the meetups, about the events, because one offline friend is sometimes more worth than 100 online connections on Telegram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And here are some recommendations to travel. And I know that Celine is doing a great job in inviting you all to go to different summits, conferences, meetups, because it actually works. I've been my last two jobs. The Tendermint job, I applied to that, and I went through the whole recruitment process and everything. But the last two jobs that I had after Tendermint, those are all through connections. My clients that I have right now as a freelancer, these are also my connections. They know me personally. They even worked with me as well, so that was kind of like an easy hire. But typically, I've been in talks with a couple of people during the conferences, and they would be like, "Yeah, I actually like you. I would like to work with you. How do we proceed?" So I brought a couple of clients into my previous recruitment agency that I worked, also through connections, through the conferences, basically. And sometimes it feels like, oh, it costs a fortune to go there. If you book in advance and if you participate in different community-driven, I don't know, events or hacker houses, or like Celine says, I saw a couple of posts in the group that there are some scholarships available for certain opportunities, so you can even fly somewhere for free. Um, I have to pay because I'm a recruiter. I'm not a developer. Maybe I should become a developer to get those opportunities for free. But since I'm paying, I just do things very much in advance. So in the beginning of the year, or maybe even before the year starts, I typically find out, okay, what are the opportunities I want to attend for sure. Right now, I'm based next to Amsterdam. So whenever the early bird tickets for ETHDAM, which is a conference for the Ethereum community in Amsterdam, appeared, I was the first one who bought it. Now the ticket costs 350 euros, if I'm not mistaken. I bought it for 100 because it was super early bird ticket. Same with Eve Prague. 2 years ago, I went to Eve Prague for, I think I've paid 500 for accommodation, train tickets, and also two conferences that I attended. All in all was 500, which is, I think, not a bad price. If Warsaw, I booked already an accommodation to go for If Warsaw in September, and that costed me for a whole apartment in the city center. It was 260 euros on Airbnb for a week. So if you are early enough, you can afford yourself going to a conference or two. You just have to choose wisely which one you want to go. If you want to more concentrate on local events, go for it. If you want to attend something big, like for example, FCC in Cannes, which is going to be in France. And I thought that's going to be extremely expensive, but I already booked my tickets and I already booked my flights as well. And my accommodation and flights are going to be also under 500 euros, something like 430 euros, which is, I feel, a decent price for expensive place like Cannes. For Dev Connect, I would suggest to go for some volunteering or student tickets or hacking tickets. So for something that can help you to get the ticket there, maybe even like a hacker house to stay there also. But Argentina is not as expensive as, for example, Denver, Colorado in the US, or Cannes in France. So potentially you can find an opportunity to stay there for and pay for yourself.
Yeah. Uh,
Yep.
Usually I will let you know every time when we can have an opportunity for conference. And if some people are interested in for a specific conference, what I can do is talk with the organizer and negotiate for some free tickets to allow you to come and so on. So no worries about that. Usually you will not pay anything. I never pay something.
Well, yeah, that here you are. Here is the answer. If meanwhile you don't want to go to some big conferences, you don't have time, I don't know, you don't have energy, then you can just attend your local meetups. And for those, I would suggest to go to Eventbrite, Luma, or meetup.com websites and see what is happening in your region.
Oh, right now with the Eventbrite, a lot of scam happen. So
Really?
People every time pass by Luma. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that
Yeah.
because I have one event. I'm kind of like helping out with some events, and they're all posted on Eventbrite. Maybe I'll make a suggestion to leave this platform. Good to
Oh,
know.
oh, please. I will go soon. But just before, I want to say something related to scam, especially on Telegram. Like, I don't know if you have a slide about it. Probably.
No, I don't have. I no.
So a lot of scam, like you can be contacted by people you don't know them, but they will propose, offer something attractive for you. Never reply to them, and it's gonna happen a lot for you. And sometimes people try to open a link and then connect your wallet and anything, and your wallet is just drained. So that means it's hacked. You can't do anything. So never click on any link on Telegram. Be careful about that when we offer you some money for doing something.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of scam going on Telegram, Twitter, basically anywhere you can be reached. Even on LinkedIn, I know that there's a couple of a couple of messages being sent to the developers about, here is a GitHub coding task. Please do this for us, and then we will invite you to the interview. And it's a malware that you have to install on your computer, and then yeah, your computer is fully drained, basically, not just your wallet, but all your data that you have on your computer. So yeah, it's very important to be careful here. Well, my links are all going into the good websites, so I'm not trying to drain you if you want to open them later. But yeah, you definitely you have to be careful. And just two last slides regarding kind of like miscellaneous. What are the other things that you can try out? In Twitter or X, you can search for the tweets where people get connected. Like this one, for example. Sometimes I have them in my feed just coming up organically. And for example, here the guy found the product design job thanks to one of those tweets this time last year. So that's great to hear. Then follow the ecosystems on Twitter or the companies you are interested in. For example, Web3 privacy. If you're interested in privacy, they even built some kind of like a job board. I'm not sure if it's still working, but I know that it worked by, yeah, let me check. Because they were working on some other initiatives. So might, no, it actually works. So take a look at those. Then engage not only with companies but with individuals, but we already covered that part, that you have to be, for example, the Paradigm CTO that I already mentioned, told you about. Gakonst is his nickname on GitHub, Twitter, whatever. He's from time to time posting that he's looking for engineers for certain projects, for a freelance, for maybe some I don't know, some feedbacks, for whatever. So you should definitely have this person you have to follow him. And then the last part is, yeah, participating in DAOs can lead you to a first job in Web3 or ambassadorship or whatever where the skills are not that much required or experience is not that much required. You can participate in that, and you never know how this will, where it will bring you. Take a look at the ecosystems rather than standalone companies. For example, Solana ecosystem has its own job board that is updated on a daily basis, basically, as you can see. And these are all the jobs that are in Solana ecosystem available. Check where the VCs put their money. Because if there was a round, then definitely they're gonna spend this money to expand the teams. And for example, there is a Messari a web page where you can see the fundraising data set, but it's quite expensive. So if you're really kind of like a data geek, then you can buy this board. But what I like, I have an easier suggestion for you is actually a Telegram channel that is called One Crypto Feed. and it tells you about the major things that are happening in crypto. Basically, it just gives you the headline and the website where this news were posted, and then you just go and read it through if you are interested in. So that's how I actually stay in the loop with all the news that are happening in Web3, because it is, yeah, sometimes I'm not having time looking into Twitter when I'm on vacation, for example. So this channel really helps me to know what is happening, the latest trends, the latest news that are happening within Web3. Don't forget about LinkedIn. Well, this is kind of like, as you see, the very last line, the very last option. But people I know get hired through LinkedIn. For example, those guys from UpTop Search, they've been not sure about now, but they've been quite active on LinkedIn. And I know that they made a couple of hires through LinkedIn. I made a couple of hires by searching through LinkedIn as well. So it definitely happens to be able to find a job in Web3 through such a traditional source as LinkedIn. And basically, that's it. It took way longer than we expected, probably, but I hope you all really liked the presentation. I'm going to share this presentation in the chat so that you all have access to all the links that you have to click for yourself. And yeah, have fun building new stuff. I think the most important thing here is to not stop, to keep building, to keep improving, and then the opportunity will find you.
Yeah, I wanted to showcase that. So you can use Scrap email Finder. And the thing is, when you are going to LinkedIn a specific profile, you can get the email of the people in charge, etc. It's a great way if you want to get in touch with the right people. And the other thing, just before leaving, is about this thing. You have access to it into the Notion, so it's related to jobs, and I listed the best relevant company in Web3 and all this job boards. So Sofia talked about the system, like for example, Lever, um, Greenhouse. So they are all using the same tools a bit. So yeah, you can take a look at that and be aware that sometimes this job listed here are not available into job boards. So just to let you know, like your classic job board, like this one, Web3, etc.
Yeah. I also like this job stash website that is there. It's really cool because it actually scrapes. I think, I believe they are actually based in Amsterdam. I know that they're going to be sponsoring IFDAM, but basically they're scraping the new jobs through the from the careers website, and they are posting that in their platform. So, for example, as I mentioned, for web3.career or cryptocurrencyjobs.co or something, you have to pay to be listed as a company. But in JobStash, they're just scraping it all and posting it on their website. So yeah, as I said, if you want to look for something, you just go for all those links, and something is gonna be suitable for you for sure.
Thank you for this amazing session. It was full of insights for everyone who's discovering the space. And yeah, we will see again, Sofia, later. No worries. And don't hesitate to reach out to her if you have any question. I think she.
Absolutely. You probably all know my Telegram account, and now you also have my X. I actually, yeah, I can share my LinkedIn and my. Sorry, I forgot to add those links in the presentation, but this is my LinkedIn and my X.com that I don't really use. I need to start using it more, but actually I'm building a website now, so I think I'm going to be posting some blog posts about hiring in Web3. So keep following me. I will post something soon. And what else I wanted to send? Ah, the Telegram in case if you want to get in touch with me.
I have an interview in 3 minutes.
But
Um, it's for the Egg and Layer Ambassador program, so that's fine.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
It's not for a job. It's something chill.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you very much for attending this session. Really love the questions. They're all relevant and do not hesitate to reach out to me.
Yeah, we'll put everything on YouTube, and we'll let you know posting on Telegram.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great evening and day to everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye, Tutus. Bye.